Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television. This is Punchline Africa Television Diplomatic Leaks. The show today is a very good show concerning conflicts. Why do conflicts occur in Africa? Why are there conflicts? What triggers conflicts? This show is brought to you by Miriam Ogutu in the studios of Punchline Africa Television in Nairobi. And I'm Dr. David Matanga, right at the coastal town of Mombasa, in Mombasa now. Thank you very much. And across the country, the lady on the movie in Muranga, who has gone to do some research. Hey, this research of yours in Muranga is tough. Thank you very much, Gladwell Kiraku. I think for these days, your name has now sung in my tongue, and I'm not going to forget it, and I call you differently. Thank you. Good afternoon, all of you. Miriam, the topic is that, and back to you. Bring it to us. Let's see listeners watching up and those watching us. Thank you very much. Africa has conflicts. What triggers those conflicts? Back to you, Miriam.
Very well. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you to our viewers for watching, and a very good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're tuned in and listening to us this afternoon. It is afternoon here in Nairobi. And so we're going to look at some of the driving factors of the perennial conflict in a few countries that we've chosen to place some spotlight on this afternoon. And we shall look at Mali and then the Democratic Republic of Congo. We do also have South Sudan as well as Libya, because those are the countries right now, among other countries. We know there's an ongoing conflict even in Nigeria between the government of Nigeria and the people from the north, the east, the southeast region, and the people from the south in Nigeria and also in Cameroon and other parts. So there are conflicts that have been ongoing in the continent. Unfortunately, they've not formed, they're not urgent enough for the African Union, and that's why we don't see them discussing. Nobody's even talking about Libya anymore. Nobody's talking about South Sudan as a matter of priority anymore. So you wonder, what is it that is happening in African Union, and what should be the priority of that organization that is meant to be finding solution to some of these African problems. So we start with Mali, and of course the latest news is that a colonel reputed to be close to Mali's ruling junta has been arrested. He was arrested on Tuesday, and he is believed to be the one who was leading a coup that was thwarted last week and led by the army officials. And, the leading colonel in that country right now said that these, the supposed coup was being supported by a Western state. They did not mention the Western state, but they said it was being supported and being aided by a Western state. So they're using a few army officials who may not be in agreement about the leadership that we have right now in Mali. An official at the Defense Ministry, speaking on condition of anonymity, Colonel Keita, said that Colonel Keita is among the arrested jihadists. So this Colonel Keita, he is among the people who have formed the panel, the 120 members of the National Transition Council. So he's one of the leading figures from the military side, and a legislator appointed by the junta to pass law pending a declared return to civilian rule. Keita is also said to be close to the CNT's president, Colonel Malik Diaw, who is one of the most influential figures in the junta led by strong man Colonel Assimi Goïta. And of course now Niger's president has said Mali's withdrawal from the G5. Mali has withdrawn from the G5. The G5 Sahel is the coming together of 5 countries in the Sahel region that formed an alliance to help fight the insurgents and the militants in that area. That includes Mauritania, Chad, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. So Mali has removed itself. So that also now will not just affect Mali, but also might spill over the conflict in these other countries, because Mali was a very important piece of that puzzle as far as the fighting of insurgency and insecurity is concerned. So the driving factor, Doc, of this conflict that we're seeing now, it is morphing, and it could be just more than a coup. We might see another coup coming up, and it has already suffered 2 coups, in the past. So the driving factor in what we're seeing now play out in Mali.
Thank you very much, Miriam. I want to say and state categorically that France is one of the countries in Africa that are seeking regime change. They want, I don't know, are we together?
Yes, I can hear you.
But you seem
yes.
to be talking.
Oh, okay, but we can get you. I think we do have a problem on our side, but I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miriam. The situation is that France appears to be one of the countries that has caused chaos. The chaos that we see around the Great Lake, the entire Africa. Every conflict in Africa, France has a hand. And this is something that we have said, and it is still manufacturing more conflicts. And when USA goes ahead, sets operational bases, France comes in to actualize the work that they do. So it is sad, therefore, that Mali suffered another coup, attempted coup. And it is not the end, it will not be the first, it will not be the last. As long as the soldiers are out of the barracks, these coups will continue recurring and recurring and recurring. But what triggers these coups is bad governance, bad elections, and the corruption. Every head of state who comes on and declares that the army has taken over, quotes corruption as one of the monsters that makes the soldiers move out of their barracks.
Very well, we seem to have suffered a bit of a technical hitch there. We apologize, but Doc was making a case of some of the factors, the driving factors to the conflicts that we see in Africa. And of course, we started by looking at Mali. Doc, I don't know if you can hear me. Good morning.
I hear you now. Are we?
You're back. Go ahead. Sorry for that.
I had said 3 factors: bad governance, corruption, and above all, what triggers elections. But those are the 3 things that trigger coups in Africa and the conflicts in Africa.
You say bad governance, corruption?
Yes.
And?
Bad governance. And when you have bad governance, and then you have bad elections. Corruption, bad governance, bad elections. Those 3 factors will trigger a conflict in any African country. But the most prevalent factor item here is corruption. Because every army person who takes over power in Africa quotes corruption as why he stepped in to save the country from going to the ruins. Thank you.
All right. And I don't know if external interference is a factor here, especially when you look at those countries.
It is a factor, but the most important factors that even you make the external factors, darker forces to come in, is those 3. If there are human rights abuses, people are being arrested, tortured, beaten, allegedly, they will come in. That is 1. If there is corruption embedded within the system, they will come in. If there is corruption, if there is a bad election where people are disputing, the West is like an eagle, an eagle waiting, hovering over meat. It sees very far, the eye of the eagle sees the meat on the ground. said, there you are, they're about to get into trouble, let's go there. So the French have become the ego of Africa that sees where and how the meat on the ground is, and then they come in to destabilize.
Well, thank you. And I see you've been joined by Gladwell Kirago. Gladwell, good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to Dr. David Matsanga. Good afternoon to you, Miriam. Good afternoon to our viewers.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. So we're just looking at overall the conflicts that we have in the continent, which I know you're quite familiar with by now. From where you stand, what could be the driving factors to this conflict that you've seen? Others have been there for years. It is a perennial theme within a couple of African countries. What could be the driving factors to this conflict?
I think Dr. Matsanga has recorded it very well, and just a few highlights of it. Some of these things, it's not like it's part of us. It has become a norm. It's part of our lives in Africa. The bad governance, I'll stroke it to the elections, and also most of the corruption. Corruption is actually very paramount. We used to corruption in Africa. It is something we are so used, and shockingly, I mean, it has become like a part of our lives. So I think the rest Doc has said, but I'll take on the two.
So corruption and bad governance.
Yeah, bad governance, I'll stroke it to the elections.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts there. Okay, very well. So we move on to another country that, also is suffering a lot and has been a victim of these things that we have outlined here. And there is an ongoing conflict in that country, and that is Democratic Republic of Congo. And despite a peace deal in 2002 and the formation of a transitional government in 2003, ongoing violence perpetrated by armed groups against civilians in the eastern region has continued, largely due to, Doc, what you've said, poor governance, very weak institutions, and rampant corruption. So you are spot on. One of the most prominent rebel groups to emerge in the aftermath of the war was known as March 23 Movement, abbreviated as M23, made up of primarily of ethnic Tutsis who were allegedly supported by the Rwandan government. The M23 rebel against the Congolese government for supporting reneging on a peace deal signed in 2009, the UN Security Council authorized an offensive brigade under the mandate of the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the DRC, MONUSCO, to support the DRC State Army in its fight against M23. The Congolese Army and UN peacekeepers defeated it in 2013, but now it has emerged and it is posing a real security challenge to Congo. But also there is the natural resources, because the country's massive resource wealth, estimated to include $24 trillion of untapped mineral resources, also fuels some of this violence. The mineral trade provides financial means for groups to operate and buy arms. The United States passed legislation in 2010 to reduce the purchase of conflict minerals and prevent the funding of armed militias, but complex supply chains in the DRC mineral sale business have made it difficult for companies that purchase resources from second-hand buyers to obtain certification. As a result, multinational companies have stopped buying minerals from the DRC altogether, putting many miners out of work and even driving some to join armed groups to gain a source of livelihood. So the conflict in the DRC, Doc, is quite multifaceted, and it has so many dimensions. But I don't know, what is your take on some of the driving factors as far as the conflict in the DRC is concerned?
Added to the three that I have already mentioned, Miriam, the conflict in Congo has got an ethnic factor, ethnicity. The Banamulenge of those near the border with Rwanda and Uganda believe that they are not part and a parcel of the main Congo. They are more connected to the main Uganda and the main Rwanda and the Burundi than they are connected to the Kinshasa government. So that one is another factor that is added on the Congo conflict, that ethnicity and the tribal sentiments. And another factor for the Congo conflict is purely chauvinism and expansionism. Expansionism theory. There seem to be leaders in the region who have got expansionist theory that we must expand and control from Indian Ocean to Atlantic Ocean. Adventurism, that's just to adventure. Another factor that contributes to terrorism, to conflicts in Congo, is the presence of 123 rebel groups, all centralized in one country. Surely, what do you expect? A conflict must arise. These people depend on livelihood, which they must get. But if they don't get it, they resort to guns. Another factor in Congo are minerals. The mineral is one of the factors, Miriam. People go there to arm those militias in order for them to carry free gold, diamonds, and other minerals from Democratic Republic of Congo in areas where these rebel groups occupy. So those are some of the factors that trigger a war, for example, in Congo. Thank you.
Very well said. I don't know if Gladwell, you would like to add anything on top of that? Okay, I'm not sure if she's there, but yes, Doc, you're very spot on that. She's
Gladwell.
there. Gladwell.
You know,
Yeah,
she was multitasking.
Yes.
I had a technical issue on my side. The network in the area are not that quite good.
Okay. All right. So maybe we just move on to another country, and that is Libya. That seems to be a ticking time, bomb. And it's interesting. I don't know if you could just blame it on COVID, or I don't know what is happening. When President al-Sisi of Egypt was the chairperson before, Cyril Ramaphosa became the chairperson of African Union, and now we have the president of Senegal, Macky Sall. But when al-Sisi was the chairperson of the African Union, he sort of was trying to make talks about Libya and the African Union. At least a few times there was an attempt to discuss Libya and the African Union organs. But after that, I don't know if it's COVID that came and confused everything, but nobody's talking about Libya, despite of the deteriorating security and what we've been seeing happening there. Is it a war that the continent has given up on? And Doug, I know we've talked about this so many times, and even the driving factors, but for the sake of our viewers who might not have the information, perhaps you could attempt to do that again today. Some of the driving factors really, and the interest that have continued to fuel this war, the conflict in Libya.
Thank you very much, Miriam. I will try, and not to try, but I will say the facts about Libya. Libya was badly handled after the collapse of Gaddafi. Several forces emerged as those who pushed for the overthrow and eventually the killing of Gaddafi. NATO, that came in the name of NATO to save Europe, disappeared. And the French took position in Libya. They started dictating who should be, where should be, who should be charged, who should not be charged. As they do, the more confusion that goes on. French ships are carrying oil. They are carrying oil for free. So the French have waited until they have filled their containers. Then they will cut off and they say, let the law go on. So the Libyan scenario is very different from some of the scenarios that we see in the rest of Africa. That one has reached a point which is just to blow. It's a matter of time before this blows up. And Miriam, believe me or not, it will bring a big, big problem for the African Union.
Very well. I don't know if Gladwell, are you there?
Yes, Miriam, I have nothing to add.
Okay, good. Not good, but well, next time. And then we go to our last country that we've talked about so much here, and there has been an increase of intercommunal violence that has been fueled by several factors, and that is in South Sudan, and it appears, it's not ending. It's not ending. So the driving factors are some of the, reasons why we've seen South Sudan not stabilize at all. Maybe we should start even from the leadership itself and its commitment to seeing a stable South Sudan.
The biggest problem of South Sudan is accountability. It's one factor that has created and escalated the war, broken agreements over agreements, and which is now creating and bringing back there is a recurrence of rebel activities in some states of South Sudan. Having said that, let's look at why South Sudan peace process was flawed. It was a flawed peace process because it did not start with accountability as a value of human peace process. Accountability is very important in stabilizing your peace agreement, because if people have agreed on how to do the work, what will happen? When will people leave the camp to go and make reparation to the people they have killed? Allow people to mourn their parents, even if they have disappeared in the war. That one has not been done on Sudan at all, Miriam, and on South Sudan. And the more we continue ignoring it, the more it keeps on coming. Now, there you are, you say 72 people were killed, 11 injured in one of the states in South Sudan, Unity State. It is coming back because of a bad agreement that was put on South Sudan.
Okay, and of course, the United Nations Development Programme and other partners have urged the National Constitution Amendment Committee to urgently review the Election and Financial Reforms Act. NCAC is tasked by 2018 peace agreement to draft and complete the constitutional amendment bill and incorporate into the transitional constitution. The committee is mandated to review and complete amendments to relevant national security legislations to bring their provisions into conformity with the agreement. And of course, this committee at some point stopped working because they said they did not have funds. And then I think it's Norway that gave them some money so that they continued. But these are very important laws that was part of the agreement of the 2018 peace agreement that needs to be drafted. As far as even preparing for elections is concerned, they will go to the elections next year, hopefully. But even, I think even thinking about election in South Sudan right now is a bit too far-fetched because they do have very urgent needs as far as even just getting the people out of the refugee camps. Even inside South Sudan is concerned. People cannot sleep in their homes because of attacks and things like that. So they do have a lot of internally displaced persons and who are hungry and living in very deplorable conditions. So if you go to that person today and tell them, I need for you to register as a voter, that is not a priority for them, Doc.
Medium, is it Gladwell?
Well, Gladwell will come in.
The question you have asked, just, now, what is the exact question?
because the UN Development Program and some partners were supporting a part of the 2018 peace agreement draft that needed to be completed so that it is included in the Constitution Amendment Bill, and this will touch on the Anti-Corruption Act, the Petroleum Act, the Petroleum Revenue, and all that, and also help in the in upcoming elections next year. South Sudan, remember, was supposed to have its elections this year, but it was moved to next year because they said they were not ready. But even for next year, I don't see South Sudan ready to have any elections now.
They are not ready. Look, there is no election there. For me, one of the recommendations I've told you, Miriam, you see, this is where international agencies go wrong. They have now gone for Petroleum Act. It's what you have read a few items there that they are interested in.
Yes, Petroleum Act, Petroleum Revenue Management Act, the Bank of South Sudan Act, the Banking Act, the National Elections Act, the NGOs Act, and the Anti-Corruption Act. Okay, that's interesting.
They go to something that is money, but they have not seen that they can make more money if they went for agenda number 5, which is accountability. Instead of saying the act for petroleum, what are they protecting? Petrol, money. Anything to do with petrol, oil is money. So the UN has gone in there. You find people, oh, I'm the head of UNDP in South Sudan. What do you do there, my friend? What are you doing there? The people are dying and you are telling me you are the head of the UN. What are you going to? They have gone there they are on this UN, even this UN is for some nations. For some nations, UN is for America. You can see the way they have turned on Russia, which is a member of the United Nations. You have a say. Do we have a say in the UN? No. Nobody has a say in the UN except America. If America says it is leading an onslaught on you, you will be beaten. You will be beaten. So, the question of going for monetary issues to protect the money, what is that? Oil levy, petrol levy, this one. That one cannot work. Let's get the peace first through accountability. Let's bring a hybrid court that will try criminals who have killed people, and we see them walk on the streets of Juba and the streets of Nairobi and other places in the world. Let's bring accountability. There are people who want to see their mothers. There are people who want to see their children. There are people who want to see their sisters, brothers who are killed. Just even to say, I put it to rest. Thank you, Dad. I know you are gone. You are no longer there. But there are people still living here who don't know where their parents are still alive. They could have been one of the militias still fighting. So those are some of the things that are disturbing South Sudan.
So even in this one, it's, as much as it is important, but it's not the most urgent things they need to be discussing. Although, a lot of money is being lost because they don't have structures that can account to the monies they get. And I was just reading another news item from South Sudan sometimes back last week, and the ministry that is concerned with the oil or finance, he actually said South Sudan's oil has been sold up to 2027. And I think the country has already used that money. So for the civil servants who are asking for more money, they're told we don't have money. Even that, because they were questioning, where's the money for oil going? Why is it not being used to take care of some of the things that you need for it to take care in South Sudan? And the finance minister told them this oil has been sold up to 2027. And I guess that money has already been used. So 2027.
2027.
Yes, in advance. So you're selling. They're selling something that is not even. They're selling it by faith.
Ours in Uganda has been sold to China forever. Yeah, we don't know. Whatever we get out, China will take everything. So that's the guarantee why the pipeline is being dug between Tanga and Mwanza and Hoima. There you are. That's the Africa we have. Unless there's something new.
No.
Graduate, do you have anything to add on?
No.
Jalo was just happy to listen to us this afternoon.
Okay.
We'll come back
Glad
tomorrow. Yeah,
she
thank
must
you.
be doing some other something else. Oh, it was over yesterday. We don't know.
We'll ask. But let's thank our viewers for watching and for their time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This station for Africa by Africa with Africa Chat.